Russia-Europe pipeline leaks. Within the framework of Egypt's national strategy to achieve progress and development, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi inaugurated a number of national projects affiliated to the General Authority for Investment and Free Zones on Tuesday. The inauguration comes in parallel with the exerted efforts to realize goals of sustainable development as well as Egypt's vision for 2030. The story.
President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi inaugurated a number of national projects affiliated to the General Authority for Investment and Free Zones on Tuesday. During the inauguration, the President stressed the significance of removing obstacles facing investors, adding that the upcoming economic conference would allow investors to present their problems and suggestions. The head of state announced that the state would expand the establishment of various factories in the coming phase in cooperation with the private sector. President Sisi expressed the state's readiness to expand technical schools to provide qualified workforce for the job market, calling on investors and businessmen to establish more schools and expressing appreciation and support to businessmen. The president affirmed that Egypt is not far from reality, adding that the state is giving a big care to industry, noting that reaching $100 billion of exportation is not enough for a country whose citizens exceed 100 million. He asserted that Egypt is exerting its utmost efforts to diminish as much as possible the impacts of current global circumstances pertaining to coronavirus pandemic and the Russia-Ukraine crisis. Meanwhile, the president inspected the electric cables factory and was briefed on the facility's products and visited the Mintra factory and the authorities' premises and was briefed on the work line of the facility. President Sisi also inaugurated a number of investment projects in the cities of Banha and Midghamr via video conference. Meanwhile, the president watched a documentary film entitled Promising Track, which highlighted the national projects carried out by Gafi and the track of economic reform introduced by Egypt during the past stage. It also shed light on the importance of investment as a main engine for upping the economic growth rate through implementation of Egypt Vision 2030, which opened the doors for local and foreign investments in Egypt and helped in the establishment of more free zones, logistics, industrial and technological areas. The Gafi film also underscored the state's efforts to achieve a leap in all investment domains inside 9 public free zones and 204 private free zones in a number of governorates, highlighting that such free zones had contributed in launching 1,095 projects and provided about 200,000 direct work opportunities. Meanwhile, Councillor Mohammed Abdul Wahab, the head of the General Authority for Investment and Free Zones, said the third edition of the Egypt Investment Map was launched. Speaking at the inauguration of the projects at the General Authority for Investment and Free Zones, Abdul Wahab said the volume of the free zones exports reached around £6 billion. He said the authority seeks to cover all the needs of the Egyptian market, adding that it also seeks to empower youth and entrepreneurs through many programs. Abdul Wahab noted that Egypt over the past 3 years established 7 new centers to serve investors with the aim of improving business practices, bringing to 15 the number of such centers around the country. He further reviewed Gafi's plan of action to expand services across the country, especially Upper Egypt, as part of efforts to decentralize procedures through electronic linkage of those centers. The Gafi had touched upon preferential incentives offered under the plan to national and strategic projects in Upper Egypt and border governorates, as well as the green economy and artificial intelligence ventures. Abdul Wahab also said foreign investors would be granted 5-year residence in Egypt to implement their project.
Morocco said on Tuesday Algeria had invited its king, Mohammed VI, to attend the Arab League summit in Algiers in November at a time of tension between the two neighbors. The foreign ministry in Rabat said visiting Algerian Justice Minister Abdelrashid Tabi had delivered a letter to Foreign Minister Nasser Bourita inviting the king to the November 1st to 2nd summit. The ministry has yet to specify who will represent Morocco at the gathering in Algeria's capital. Moroccan media have said Prime Minister Aziz Akhnouch and Bourita will travel to Algiers. King Mohammed in late July renewed calls for restoration of ties with Algeria, which broke off diplomatic relations with Rabat last year. Morocco and Algeria have long been at odds over the disputed territory of Western Sahara, where the Algiers-backed Polisario Front is seeking independence from Rabat's rule. Syrian authorities